I do think every artist must have a social responsibility. That's something that I believe really, really seriously. I don't think if you're blessed with art, if you have a talent, if for one reason, for whatever reason you feel that that's your call, if you're given that gift, you have to do justice to that gift. You have to do something that is going to be positive for your community. You have to give something to people. You have to give back to life. I don't believe in the artist that just, does things for his or her own fame or personal reward, right? So in that sense, I think Rubén Blades is one of those real artists, because you have to speak about the conflicts, you have to contribute, you have to make people feel good about it. It could be a love song that people will relate to, it doesn't have to be political, it doesn't have to be social in that way, but it just has to be human. Just be honest. And as long as you're being honest as an artist, somebody will relate to you, because, we are all in this planet together. My name is Nilko Andreas. I'm a classical guitarist. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, where I studied as a kid classical music in the National Conservatory of Music that was conveniently located in the National University of Bogota, where at that time, while I was studying cello and classical European music, there was also these big movements of Latin American folk song, trova song, protest song, all these great singers from Latin America. And then I fell in love with this movement. So since very early stages of my career, of my life, I started mixing both worlds. Classical music, I was studying cello and classical guitar at the conservatory, but then in the afternoons I would just run to my guitar and start playing music by Víctor Jara, Silvio Rodríguez, Mercedes Sosa, and all this beautiful music, bambucos, pasillos from my own country. And then I developed this big interest from the music from Latin America that eventually became my main focus of work when I started doing research about classical composers from Latin America, like Villa-Lobos, Ginastera, Piazzolla. But then I discovered that there is way more composers from other countries. In Colombia, for example, we have Guillermo Uribe Holguín, Antonio María Valencia, and a big number of composers that have inspired their work not only in the European tradition where they studied, but also they have found a lot of strength in the traditional indigenous roots of Latin American music. So I want to be listening to Violeta singing while we drive and talk. This is Chilean Chacarera from New York to the world. Violeta died before the 70s and Víctor Jara 73. Víctor Jara was one of the greatest. This is for you guys inside of that camera. Víctor Jara was one of the greatest singer-songwriters from Latin America, and he was a very important figure because he really told us everything that he was seeing. That was, he was an advocate for human justice and human rights, especially representing the less favored people. He was a key figure in the election of Allende in Chile in the 1970. And then when the military took the country, helped by the CIA, Nixon and Kissinger, helped this absurd regime to take over, then Víctor Jara was assassinated and tortured in a very inhuman and stupid way. People don't listen to Víctor Jara or Violeta Parra regularly, but once you show them to them, they automatically fell in love with the thing, and that's part of the job that I've been doing, just singing these songs. Like instead of Carlos Vives, I sing more authentic vallenatos. Instead of Shakiras, I sing more authentic cumbias, So Later in life, when I came to study in New York City, more or less around the year 2000, I started a concert series after my debut at Carnegie Hall as a soloist, where I am presenting since 2010 a series called Amazonas, where I present classical music from Latin America, sometimes with Latin American musicians, but sometimes, and I prefer to do it with musicians from all over the world that I have met through my years in New York City. So in a way of bringing Latin American culture and art to the world using this great opportunity that Carnegie Hall opened their doors for us to do this. And then if you go to the south of Peru, there is a place called Chincha, and the presence of Afro-Peruvian music is stronger, so they develop a lot of drums. And as a matter of fact, they created an instrument that you guys might have seen. It's called el cajon. Anybody has seen el cajon? One of the most important things about New York is the fact that you learn so much about different cultures and you are able to explore, to learn, and to express yourself. But then, if you don't have a platform to do that, if you don't have other friends, other people, colleagues creating these kinds of opportunities, sometimes it just becomes harder, right? So I think Salon de Artistas, it's an incredible platform. It is so much needed place to gather, to create community, and also for us to be able to express and to finally be able to deliver and to show to the world what is it that we have been doing, right? You can do a lot of research and a lot of work in your studios, but if you don't have a place where you could showcase everything you've done, then there's no point. And I think Salon de Artistas is a much needed space for this. So yeah, cheers to Salon de Artistas for many more years, and thank you for all the work you've been doing, because it's what allows us to keep on, you know, it's inspiring, and it allows us to feel that what we're doing is being recognized, or at least we have a place where we could show it. So I think it's very important. So I've been in New York. I studied from the year 2000 to 2010, and then I started traveling. And I have both lives. I am the singer of La Cumbiamba NJ and Cumbia La Mar, which are projects that focus into studying and recreating traditional music, mainly from the Atlantic and Pacific coast of Colombia. So it's Afro-Colombian music. And we have some albums, and we have been doing a lot of research throughout the country, as well as and then presenting that music here in New York and in the US. And I have a project called La Mar that focuses on presenting traditional folk song from Latin America. So in my travels, I have always tried to go to these small towns to learn with the masters about musical traditions like Afro-Peruvian music in Chincha or Lima, or like cuecas and sambas in Argentina, Chile, as well as Brazil. So every time I travel to do classical music concerts, I always escape and go into the other not so known places to look for those ancestral roots. And then taking advantage that being in New York is a great platform to show that music to the world in times that are a little bit confusing in terms of the authenticity of the music, right? What we hear in radio, what we see on TV, everything that is famous and commercial tends to be very distant from the actual roots of things, right? So if people need and deserve to know that traditional Colombian music like vallenato or cumbias are very different than the music that it's easily found on social media or TV. Everything they give you, it's a little more distant from reality. So that's what I've been trying to do, just to bring the authenticity of the past, the power of the ancestral element into a modern world, to enrich and contribute some way somehow to find again who we really are, especially living outside of our countries for many years. Like in my case, I have been away, out of my country for more than 20 years, but still every day I feel more Colombian than ever because of these studies and because of the connection that I have developed throughout the years. And I have the feeling that empowering these communities through the study of the ancestral authenticity of our countries, it's a way of giving us some kind of power and confidence towards developing whatever it is that we decide to do in life. So it's very important to really go to the root of who we are.